Hello, YouTube. I guess I'll start putting out more videos and stuff because this is just what's going on right now. I think it's very important, and you know, I got a better setup now. I cleaned out my room a little bit. It's still messy, but you can't see that, so it's fine by me. But it's way better than it was, and got my desk back and everything, and had this little. You see the screen vibrating. That's this little selfie stick thing I have. It coils up. It's a stick, but it's like bendy. It's kind of cool. The only issue is sometimes when you're holding it out, it wants to droop a little bit. Like when you're holding out you see my arm holding it out like this, it'll like droop a little bit. But it excuse me, it does the trick. So I don't, I use it and it works. It's nice if you're just filming on your phone or whatever, just it's just like silicone on the outside, and it's basically kind of like those lamps. In fact, I have a lamp like it right here that's kind of bendy. It's like that material, and it bends and coils real easy, and you can bend it into a shape. Like I bent it so that it is like a stand. It's kind of cool. So I just figured I'd share that with you. It's a good thing to use if you're just, recording on your phone or whatever, like what I do. Like I don't do anything special. I just talk about stuff. So I don't need a computer or anything to do this right now. I would like one, and I would like to do fancier videos in the future, but there's really no incentive to do it right now because I'm not that popular. So it's fine. But I wanted to talk about the term liberal today. So this is a little bit more intellectual than the last one where I was just kind of yelling. Although it's weird because I don't yell as much in videos as I do when I'm talking to myself, because I'm weird like that and I talk to myself about politics and stuff. But at least I acknowledge I'm weird. I'm not a crazy person, because if I was like mentally ill, you'd know, because I wouldn't admit that I talk to myself like that. I would just be like, what are you talking about? Anyway, I'm going to do another video on leftists are leeches. How's a term I came with? Leftists are leeches. And it's something I've been thinking about lately, about how left-wingers will attach themselves to a cause and pretend to be something they're not. And I'm mainly talking about white progressives, upper middle class white progressives who like to preach to the rest of us. And so that theme of leftists are leeches will come up later on down the road. But right now, probably the next video, right now I want to talk about liberal, the term liberal, and specifically how people who are not on the left need to stop using the term liberal. Stop using the word unless you're going to use it correctly, because these people are not liberals. Even the more mainstream Democrats are not liberals. And I understand what you can say, well, the definition's been changed. But no, it hasn't. It's been perverted, but it's not what it means. You can still look it up in a dictionary, and that's not what it means. Like, liberal has different definitions too, like to apply, like sometimes you'll see on like ointment containers and stuff, like you get Vaseline or something. I don't know if it says it on Vaseline, but or like a lotion container, right? If you're putting lotion on your skin, it'll say apply liberally, or sunscreen. Sunscreen's a good example. It'll say apply liberally. I'm not talking about that, obviously, although that is relatable to the modern definition of liberal, in that like they want more government. But that's not what a liberal is. A liberal is someone who wants liberty. That's where the term lib or the prefix of the word lib comes from. Okay, so liberal, when the word was when the idea of liberalism was conceptualized, it was conceptualized as meaning not more government, but more freedom. The whole idea was to have more freedom. Calling these people liberals is, it's just, even the mainstream Democrat types, it's just not close. They're progressives. You can call them progressives, and then like the real far left people, you call them leftists. You can call them both leftists because they're both on the left. You know, they're both on the left side of politics. But so sometimes as an umbrella, I'll call them leftists. Sometimes if I'm trying to be more, if I'm going after someone who's on the far left, I'll call them a leftist too, just because that's what they think of themselves as anyway. And then like the more progressive types, if I'm trying to be specific with them, I'll just call them progressives. So, for example, Joe Biden is a progressive. Okay, he's also a leftist. And the macro, if you're zooming out and looking at it from this, if you're looking at it in sort of like this side of the spectrum, the left side of the spectrum, but more specifically, he's a neoliberal progressive. And neoliberal's okay because that's a little bit different than liberal. Okay, it's kind of like saying neoconservative. It doesn't actually mean new conservative. It means, it's like an insult. Neoliberal is also kind of like an insult. So, I guess you can use the term liberal if you put like neo in front of it, because everyone knows you mean something different. But because at least you're adding some sort of caveat to liberal. Whereas if you just call them a liberal, I just think we need to stop doing that, and we need to take back the term liberal, because I advocate for liberty. So I'm an actual liberal. And I refuse to call these people liberals because that just keeps shifting the Overton window left. If you want to slow the shift, really, I want to stop the shift. If you want to stop the Overton window from shifting left, you got to change your language. You got to stop playing by their rules. These people may call themselves liberals, but they're not liberals. Don't give them that luxury. Don't give them that advantage. Okay? It's like I said in the last video about the COVID passports. This is a hill I'm willing to die on. And language is very important, because a lot of language lately is being changed. Male no longer means male. Female no longer means female to these people. Okay? You understand? They think that if just because you change yourself hormonally by giving yourself estrogen shots, that you're now a woman if you're a man. Well, no, you're still a man. Even if you get reconstructive surgery, still man. You still have male organs inside. There's nothing you can do about that. Your body is not going to turn into a woman's body. You could medically alter it all you want. You're always going to be a man because you were born a man. What chromosomes do you have? XY? Okay, there you go. Sorry, that's just how it is. And I think that that truth matters. You can't. This is a hill I'm willing to die on. I'm with the language. Language is one. Okay. And the COVID tyranny, that's another. I just see. People go, well, why wouldn't you die on this in the past? Well, first of all, I was too young. So you gotta understand when I was born. I was born in 1999. This is really the first big issue of my time that I can actually, as an adult, be like, no, we're not doing this. So, I mean, I just don't. I'm actually starting out on the right footing. Okay, I'm not accepting failure like past generations did, and this is a message to the young people. Like, you need to. I know your parents and your grandparents let you down. I know they let this crap get so bad that we're here. I get it. I understand it. But you know, that doesn't mean that you just give up. Don't make the same mistakes that they made. Don't make those bad choices. You really need to. Now is the time to, fight back. What do you got to lose? So yeah, this these wording is important. And uh, true liberals were sort of the people who founded the United States. Um, the Enlightenment thinkers, stuff like that. And look, they all, excuse me, sorry, they weren't perfect men. I mean, some of these guys owned slaves. Some of them regretted it, by the way, and actually freed their slaves. So there's that. So there's somewhat of a redemptive quality to it. But I mean, yeah, like I'm not I'm not saying you idolize the people, but understand what it is that they stood for, at least claim to stand for. Okay, like, and real Enlightenment thinkers sorry, Enlightenment thinkers were real liberals. Okay, Thomas Paine, Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Washington, right? These and there is sort of propaganda around the revolution and the beginning of this country. Okay, sometimes like people on the left are like, "Ooh, a bunch of slave owners," and they're terrible people, and then people on the right are, which by the way wasn't true. The vast majority of the framers of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were not. Or, I'm sorry, the signers of the Declaration of Independence and the framers of the Constitution. The vast majority of them were not slave owners, and many were abolitionists. It was actually a really high percentage, especially considering that a lot of the elites were people who owned slaves, and a lot of these guys were rich men who were against it. So it was, in their circles, it was actually kind of unpopular, depending on where they were from. But even so, even in like the North and the Northeast, slavery wasn't really thought about. Like, abolition did not become popular until the middle of the next century. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, there was still slavery in the Northeast, even though it wasn't technically called slavery. It was, I mean, like Italian immigrants and Irish immigrants were enslaved on the docks and stuff. Some of it was indentured servitude, so not quite slavery, but pretty darn close. So just understand, you should really look into the history. It's kind of interesting that a lot of these guys did actually believe what they were saying and wanted freedom for everyone. So that's good. But anyway, the ideas of liberty come from this era. I know these guys weren't perfect, but the fact remains is that is what liberalism actually is. It has to do with liberty. So things like, the right to worship who you want to worship, the right, the right to freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of petition, freedom of assembly. Okay, these are all guaranteed rights in the First Amendment. You got your right to bear arms, which is often misquoted by the left because they only quote the first half of the Second Amendment. So school them on that. Always remember, if you don't know your Second Amendment, and you're going up against the left, you need to know it, okay? You also need to know all the freedoms in the First Amendment, okay? Speech, press, petition, assembly, and religion. I didn't list them in order, but you get the point. You should know all those, and you should know the Second Amendment for sure. Like, I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I know that much. And I know a few other things too, and you should. Okay, you should be like, hey, no, quartering of soldiers, you can't, like, if a bunch of state goons show up at your house, hey, quartering of soldiers, you can't stay here without the authority, without the proper permission or whatever. Anyway, you have to know some of your basic freedoms because that's important. And just like the thing of like the Second Amendment, for example, when you're arguing with someone who would call themselves a liberal, let's say you're arguing on the Second Amendment, and they go, "Well, it says the right. It says a well-regulated militia or whatever, right? It says a well-regulated militia." You go, right, but it also says the right of the people to keep and bear arms, the second part. Now, the reason that you tell them that, the reason that you, I hope I'm not, if I'm misquoting, I'm sorry, okay? It's been a little while because I've been focusing on a lot of other stuff. But the reason that that's so important is like, or the reason it's so important to, drive that point home with them is then go, well, look, all right, you call yourself a liberal, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, these guys also call themselves liberals. And they said that you have the right to have a weapon. And they didn't offer any caveats. There is no background checks. There is no criminal record. There's none of that stuff. Now, criminal record might have actually been a standard back then because there were certainly things like, there was certainly, for example, back then a big deal was reputation. So if someone slandered you in a local newspaper, you could technically sue them. You can today too, by the way. So they're probably like, hey, there's a reasonable responsibility with these rights and things like that. So I'm not saying that necessarily criminals should be allowed to have guns or shouldn't. I'm kind of on the fence about that issue. But the point is that you're talking to a liberal and you're saying, look, they still believe that there was reasonable, limitations to your rights. So I'm not, because a lot of times they accuse you of just not caring about people. You just don't want any limitations. You go, no, I do. But I also understand an unarmed populace is a vulnerable populace, and these guys did too. And they were liberals. Okay? And yeah, they'll probably just keep arguing the point with you because a progressive today tends to not care about your argument. But you're not arguing for their sake. See, this is what I've tried to... This is why I don't try to waste my time too much with these people, but every once in a while I'll make an example, and here's why. Because I want other people to see it. Okay? In my last video, when I was talking about how I was debating with that person that I knew from high school on Facebook, I'm not saying who. I mind my tongue. The issue with that person, right, that I had was that I knew they weren't going to come from an honest place. Okay? So then why would you even bother debating them? Because you're hearing a lot of people now who are finally waking up on the right side, thank God, they're finally waking up and saying, no, it's not about being logically consistent. Okay? They don't care about that. They're winning. Okay? They're winning. They're coming at it from an emotional standpoint. The way you win is you say, no, this is my hill. I'm going to die on it. But I still laid out some logical arguments in there. Well, why would I do that? Why would I do that? If I had no desire to get along with this person because they would just as soon throw me in the gulag as anyone else. You know why? Because I wanted other people to see it. It's public. It's on the platform. Anyone can go and see the posts. That's why I did it. Okay? So don't do it for their sake. And don't keep going. Don't be nice, okay? That doesn't work. All right? Don't be a welcome mat. Just get all walk. Just get stomped on, you know? Don't do that. Okay? Embarrass them. But make an example, make a point. Say, look, this is where I say no. And by the way, someone who liked my post, one of the first people, was actually a progressive. So there are people you can reach even on the left. But you can't back down and you can't be mealy-mouthed. You have to be solid. You have to, the old Ben Shapiro adage, facts don't care about your feelings. Yeah, well, feelings don't care about your facts either. These people do not care. So just tell them off. And I'm like the last post, or maybe the second last post, I said, look, I have this is the last post. I have no interest. He's like, why are you even bothering arguing with me? You're not going to change my mind. I was like, I'm not trying to change your mind, dummy. I'm trying to expose you for who you really are, and you fell for it beautifully. That's why I'm arguing with you. I'm not going to argue with anybody else on that post, by the way. That's it. That was the one person. I just needed one. Okay? This is how you win. Okay? You take back, and this is another method. When I'm sharing this video, you're like, what's the point of this? You're just rambling. No, I'm not. Liberal as a word. Take it back. But it's too late. It's not too late. It's never too late. The reason people keep losing the culture is because they think it's too late. This is a culture war. This is not just political, okay? The politics will change with the culture, all right? Now, to be fair, government influences culture too. Let's not pretend like, well, politics is downstream from culture. It's not 100% true, okay? It's mostly true, but culture's downstream from politics sometimes too, okay? All right. I mean, like this, I'll give you a good example. Like with the COVID stuff, this sort of like this cowardice as you see across the country, this willingness to take punishment lying down comes from the 9/11 Patriot Act days. Okay? That's politics influencing the culture right there. So I'm not saying that the politics never influences the culture. But what we're dealing with right now is not a political war, it's a culture war. The politics have influenced the culture, and now it's the other way, right? Now it's the culture. Okay? I mean, when the main thing they're talking about on the news is how Trump supporters are mean, or how, trans rights should be, put front and center, or Black Lives Matter. Those are all cultural things, you understand? And it's not that they're not at all politically linked. It's that they're very, very much cultural issues, okay? Race is a more cultural than political issue. It's not that there's not any politics involved with it. It's that overall, culturally, it overall is more impactful culturally. You understand? So language is a big part of our culture, okay? And the English language is being uh, dismantled and restructured to make us dumber and to make us dishonest. And I'm not going to accept it. So stop calling these people liberal, because they're not. They don't value liberty. They're not your friends. They don't care about free speech. And then when people go, well, these aren't the liberals of yore. Well, first of all, they're not liberals. Secondly, yes, they are. See, the left played the long game. I guarantee you, if you were to teleport a progressive from the 60s to today, they would change their views to fit into today. Not all of them, but the majority of them. Because it's not about principle to these people. Okay? It's about winning. They were playing the long game. This was their plan all along to get to this point. Okay? You have to understand that. So, I'm sorry if I'm too radical for you because I'm too nice. Or I'm sorry, I'm not nice enough. Yeah, I almost Freudian slip. Okay? I'm sorry if you just like, man, just need to change minds. And no, I mean, that's, first of all, that's not how you change minds. You have to be principled. People respect principle. And secondly, these people do not care. They do not care about how principled you are, whether or not you're the smartest person in the room. They could not care less. Okay? They want to win. And if you're not willing to fight fire with fire, I'm not saying be as low down as them. Okay? Look, as much as these guys irritate me, I don't hate them. I don't wish any ill on them. Okay? I'm not going to go burn down their store. All right? I'm not going to do that. All right? I would never throw them in the gulag because I value human liberty for everyone. Even people with incorrect, hateful, stupid opinions. Okay? However, here's the caveat. I'm not going to take their abuse anymore without putting up a fight. And winning in the arena of ideas doesn't matter to these people. So fine, we'll use some of your tactics against you. You're going to accuse me of something, I'm going to accuse you of something. And here's the thing, you don't even have to lie. You don't have to falsely accuse them. Call them what they are. Authoritarians, fascists, communists, whatever you got to call. That's what these people are. I straight up called this person on Facebook a fascist because he was. He's like, you're acting like I'm advocating for fascism. And I said, you are. You are a fascist. I'm not authoritarian. Yeah, you are. You want to force people to stick a needle in their arm to travel. So, no. I'm not going to agree with you on this. Like, I'm not going to find common ground either. He wanted to detract and go, well, yeah, but we agree on these issues. Like, we think that corporations and government are corrupt and stuff. I don't care. I don't care if you think that. You blew it when you advocated for coercion and force on the grounds of people not wanting to put something in their bodies. I'm not anti-vax. You know, I'm not taking the vaccine. It has nothing to do with being afraid of the vaccine or getting sick. I don't care. Okay. First of all, I probably won't even get sick. I have a really strong immune system. I rarely get sick. I think the last time I actually got sick was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I don't get sick very, very often. And even if I did, I'd get over it. That is not the issue. And I don't believe in these conspiracy theories. There's nanotechnology. No, it has nothing to do with that. I'm not anti-vax. I don't care. You know what it has to do with? Screw you. That's why. After all the stuff you put me through, after all the opportunities lost, the jobs that have been destroyed, all the people who are living a much, much harder lifestyle. Not to mention, think about what's going on overseas in these third world countries because we're not buying their products because our economy's not good, their economy's not good. Think about like people starving to death in Africa right now because of this. So I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. That's sarcasm. Um, I just don't have any desire to take your vaccine because screw you. After all the stuff you've done, that's my protest. Just not going to give you any more of my money. I know you're going to tax me, but at the very least, I'm not going to give you the medical bills for the vaccine. Why would I give you any more than I absolutely have to? And that should be all of our attitudes. Now, whether or not you want to take the vaccine, I don't care. But I'm saying when it comes to this cultural stuff, that should be your attitude. You're trying to win now. Okay? This is no longer about, hey man, let's win the arena of ideas. That's how you lose. Okay? It's time to win. So, the term liberal, take it back. Your freedom, take it back. If they tell you, oh, you have to get a vaccine to ride on an airplane, you say, fine, I'll drive. Oh, but that's harder. It doesn't matter. What do you have to lose at this point? Seriously, grow a pair and go out there and tell them they can. If they say jump, just say no. The problem is there's too many people saying how high. So it's time to start taking some things back. Let's just start with the small things, huh? Liberal. That shouldn't be too hard for some of you guys who are a little, should I say, cowardly? I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna talk to you like I talk to that leftist. Okay? It's time. Okay? Stop being a coward and stand up for your rights. Okay? I'm not friends with leftists anymore. Okay, I'll just tell you straight up. If someone is a leftist and they advocate for tyranny, I don't have anything to share with them. I'm not their friend. Okay? Don't look, even but we've been friends for 10 years. I don't care. Cut them off. I know that sounds harsh. And look, if